Welcome to the Embrace the Face podcast, where we celebrate all things weird and wonderful. I'm Allie Anderson, your host, here to bring you high vibe content and interviews for your highest good in self-healing and ascension. May these episodes bring you all you need in each now, and I thank you for listening, as always. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to another episode of Embrace the Face, where today I have a good friend, Jaclyn Kaminski, with me from Jaclyn Kaminski Body and Soul. Hi, Jaclyn.
Hello. I am so excited to be here with you. I love you so much.
I love you too.
Grateful for this time with you.
Yeah, so Jaclyn is a busy lady, and I'm so grateful that she was able to spare some time for this podcast episode. And so Jaclyn and I met in December of 24, so almost a year ago, at Cara Melendi's New York City retreat. And we just kind of hit it off, and we both do the same kind of work, and we both have very similar dreams and aspirations for ourselves. So we kind of work side by side. She's in Jersey, I'm in New York. So we bring a little bit of that badass vibe with us. So we are here unfiltered, and Jaclyn is going to share her story. And I'm just so happy and honored that you are here. So Jaclyn has a wild story. And I also, side note, I went to her retreat in Sedona, and it was an amazing experience. If you have not been to Sedona, you must go. The energy there is palpable, and it's magical, and it's amazing. And my life has been forever transformed thanks to her retreat. So listen up, people. Jaclyn is about to share her story and how she got to where she is. So stage is yours, Jaclyn. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you so much. And I love that. That was such a magical intro. So, I'm Jaclyn, like Allie said. I have been doing this work actively for the last 6 years. It's 6+ years now. It actually kind of happened when my dad had passed away. It was sudden. I was totally my world was rocked. And I felt like a little girl hiding in a corner, and it was just, ugh. And so my neighbor actually had a medium who was she was friends with, and she also did Reiki. So she was like, oh, why don't we do mediumship and Reiki, and she can come to your house. So she came to my house. I was supposed to actually have a mediumship reading, but I never had experienced Reiki before. So I was like, oh, let me try Reiki. I wonder what it is. And so I had a Reiki session, and it was life-changing for me because for the first time, right, my dad had passed at this point. My dad died in October. At this point, it's December. So it's a short time. And I am receiving Reiki, and I literally feel like my father with me, I physically feel him. And what was crazy was he grabbed the hand that I was holding when he had passed away.
Oh.
And so and it was very apparent to me that I was huh. And I could physically feel him. So I was supposed to get a mediumship reading. I ended up not getting one. A few times she came through, and she was like, it's crazy because this actually, I'm not even here. This was your father took this session over. And I felt it. I felt him the entire time. And after, she actually had said to me, your father really wants you to do this work. He's doing this work with you from the other side. And I there felt such truth in that. When I look back now, I realize that was right. I am a generator. I feel things in my sacral, right? Authority. So it was a total, my body was uh-huh. And so I remember after that session, I literally was floating, and it was interesting because he had said, you, right? I call you all the time, and I know you hear me. And I did, but I didn't ever really stop to think about it. So here we were, right? And she was creating a mediumship class. So I was like, okay, cool, right? I actually did the mediumship class more to prove it wrong
Skeptical
then,
by nature. Okay.
right, I was like, anybody can't be a medium. What do you mean? Right.
Yeah.
And so
Right.
I was like, that's not even true. So I remember actually telling people I worked with, like, I'm doing this to like kind of see, like, is it bullshit? Right. Like, is it even real? So, which was fun. So I did it. And I'll never forget the first time, like, she was like, yeah, just like whatever you just like, you're going to read her, whatever comes through, comes through. And I will never forget it because I like got such detail and I was like, what the fuck? How did I just do that? So I was doing mediumship. It never felt good to my body. Like it never felt right. It felt very surface level. Um Looking back, I realized, and it was something that I had always said, like, why do people want to connect with like their dead loved one's ego? Like, that just never felt good to me. How is that healing, right? Like, especially when they were fucked up. And it's like, oh, great, now I get to talk to your fucked upness just on the other side. Like, it just never felt right to me, which led me to Reiki. And that I actually was the first time I started to notice, right? Because the mediumship side came in, but I was no longer connecting, which I now know. At the time, I don't know that I would have had the words to describe the dimensions of it.
Mm.
But like now I realize I was just connecting, right? When I was doing mediumship, right? I was connecting in that fourth dimension. And then when I was doing Reiki, the messages were so different because I was calling them in truly for this person's, right, like deeper healing. And I was connecting at a much higher, right, like in a much higher dimension, much higher realm. And so the messages were so different. And that felt good to me, but stuff was like, still, I was like, something's like, I'm still not like, there's more to it. I just didn't know what it was. So I actually took, I was doing trance mediumship with Tony Stockwell. And I'll never forget. So, two things really came out of working with Tony. Everything he did made it fun. And I was like, okay, this seems like when I was originally doing mediumship, she kept trying to give me rules. And I was like, fuck this. I don't do rules, right? Like that. If you give me a rule, I'm going to tell you to fuck off, right? Like that. I'm just not working inside your box. I don't work in boxes.
Are you sure you're not Aquarius?
So, I'm triple fire. Aries, Leo, Sag.
Yeah.
So, here I was, right? And I was just like, okay. So, and he had said, if you want to go higher, you need to be in your body. And people always make this mistake, like they have to leave their body. And I heard that, and it was like I've never heard such truth in my entire life. And I was like, oh my God. And like I don't even think I heard anything else. I was just like, my body's the portal. And so I remember that day like so vividly. And what I also loved about that was actually how I built such a great relationship with my guides, was through trance mediumship. Because when I was doing trance mediumship, and then they would kind of like, we would blend and they would come in, they always came in through my back, and I would look down and they would say, look at your hands, look at your feet, right? And that's how I could tell, and how I got to like know my guides and could really see them. Because at the time, right, like we talk about this all the time, like you know what I mean? I wouldn't say that I could clearly see them. Like my clairvoyance was like at this point not on. I definitely, all the other ones were way stronger. So this, I was like looking down and I was like, fuck, these are not my hands. These are not my feet. Like I have a man in me right now. Right. And so, it really helped me in so many areas because of that. And that's what led me to when I was like, okay, my body. And my father died of idiopathic, well, his lung collapsed. Well, he choked, but that's a whole nother story. He had idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, a lung disorder. So I was always like very drawn to the breath. And so I was like, okay, how do I get into my body, right? And I kept hearing breathwork. And I was like, what the fuck is breathwork? So I remember one day looking it up, and I find this woman, and I'm not recommending this to people because you should not just like go off and do breathwork if you actually don't know what you're doing, or you're not doing it with somebody, or know all of the things like I did. Because so here I was like, I'm just going to throw this on. I'm going to do it. And so I remember that day, and it was amazing and scary as fuck because I had so much in my body that I was holding. And so my entire body contorted. And when I say breath work, what I'm doing is we're like in the body doing the 3-part breath all through the mouth, belly, chest, exhale. And it like my entire body was tight, contorted, right? Like beyond belief, and pins and needles like you can't imagine. I physically could not move my body. For like, I'm gonna say it carried on like this for probably, even when I was done breathing, for 15 minutes. And it was scary. And yet my guides, right, which I'm so grateful for my guides, because I don't know that I would have always continued without their support. I would have been like, what the fuck was that? I'm never doing that again. That was so scary. And instead they were like, relax, you're safe. Relax, you're safe. And I remember just hearing that, and I just kept relaxing. And then I was like, oh my God, I have so much like room in my body. I feel so amazing. And that was like such a moment where I was like, I need to do this again, but I need to like understand it and like go deeper. And so I actually dove into doing a breathwork program. I actually did pause breathwork with Sam Scully. And that was amazing and totally life changing, because that is truly what got me into my body and finally able to hear, like really hear my soul speak to me. And that was how I did it. It was, if you had met me before, it was like my brain didn't shut up, right? Like total ADHD, no brain like quietness of any kind. I couldn't meditate, right? Like I just couldn't do any of the things. And breath work was like another level for me. I was able to like just detach, be in my body, let my body move energy. And I was like just going deeper and deeper and deeper. And my intuition was getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And it led me to, I kept hearing the Akashic Records, which led me to the Akashic Records, which I do all of my work now from the Akashic Records, and I love beyond belief. And it took me to, there was this period where I was doing breath work, and I noticed that I struggled to breathe like other people when I was like, because right then I was in a breathwork community, so all of these people were like, go into a top hold and like hold forever, and I would be like, bitch, I got 15 seconds in and I can't breathe. What do you mean hold forever? And I will never forget this day. I was laying down, I was doing breath work, and at the time I really was struggling with, I was seeing so many past lives, and past lives came very easy to me. So like anytime I was doing breath work, I was instantly pulled into one. I was driving, I would be pulled into them, and I would just know them, see them, right, and like that mind's eye. And so I had a huge fear of death. Like that was my biggest fear in life, and it was very much them, like I felt at the time like how like betrayed by my guides almost, and didn't trust them, which I thought was fascinating. I have learned so much since then, so like these definitely are not my beliefs now, but at the time these were beliefs of mine. And I remember hearing so crystal clear, there's something wrong with your lungs, and you have two choices here. You can either, no, we've got you, your lungs will be perfectly fine, or this can go another way. Your choice. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? And I was like, and I knew, right? As soon as I heard it, I was like, oh my God. And right, so my dad and his lungs. So this was also like, fuck. And I noticed, and like even exercising, like my lips would get a little blue. And like my husband would be kissing me goodbye when I was like exercising. He'd be like, why are you so cold? Like your lips are cold. And I would be like, I don't know. I'm like, I'm just trying to exercise over here. So I go to the doctor, and of course you don't go to the doctor and be like, hey, my guides told me that there's something wrong with my lungs. Can we do scans? Because, although now I do that with my doctor. I actually did find a doctor that I could say, listen, I may come to you and say, you need to do this, this, and this, and you have to trust me, and I will trust you, but that's just the way it goes.
I love that.
At the time, I could not, like, I was just like, there's no way I would say that.
Mm-hmm.
So I went and I was like, hey, I had COVID and I'm really struggling still. Can we just do like a lung scan just to like make sure everything's okay? So I went like the next week. Instantly, we saw stuff on the scans. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go to my dad's doctor because my dad had a specialist in Philly. So I was like, I'm going straight to him. And it was scary as fuck at the time because you weren't allowed, right? Like it was COVID. So, and right, like I'm at a lung hospital. So
Mm-hmm.
like with everybody on the floor, right? It's on oxygen and everything else, which is scary as hell. Cause right, like I'm 47 now. I was like 41, 40, right? Like at the time, maybe 42. And I was like sitting there with a bunch of old people who were all on oxygen, all by myself, totally scared out of my mind. And I was like, okay, we found something. I know they told me it can go either way. And I was like, holy fuck, do I have what my dad had? That was such a fear of mine, right? Because I was like, I don't want a lung transplant. I was like, I was so scared. And I will never forget, my dad was a fireman. And so since my father has died, this is something that he does often. Actually, anytime I've had anything medical, the fire alarms will always go off. And so I remember sitting there and the fire alarm went off. Nobody's moving. And I was just like I'm not like, and I remember it so much, like it literally could bring tears to my eyes. I was like, fuck, I'm not alone. I'm okay. Like no matter what, I'll be okay. And I remember going into the doctor's office. And so he goes through and he was like, the good news is you don't have what your dad had. He was like, but do you see all of this? Like, this is emphysema. How do you have emphysema at this age? And I was like, what? And I was like, okay. And so I was totally taken back. I was not expecting that at all. He put me on medication for emphysema. He was like, let's, you know what I mean? We need to see how far along it is. We're going to send you for other testing. So we put this whole, like, let's go on the medication for the next 3 months. We're going to continue to test you. Well, you know what I mean? So that we can see how far along. Perfect. So I go home. I have a complete breakdown for 2 days. And I literally give myself 2 days. I'm like, okay, I already know what they said. And I know it, right? Like full body, I know this is on me. I can choose to give my power away, or I can remember who the fuck I am. And like this is not mine. I don't have this. Never in my wildest dreams did I think it would unfold the way it did. Like I just assumed, okay, I'll take this medication and I'll be fine. And sure, it's going to suck, but they said I would be fine if I believed. So I'm just going to choose. So every single day I would open up the Akashic Records. I would give myself Reiki and I would do breath work and I would physically pick the emphysema out of my body. And I would lay there twice a day and just go like this and breathe and pick it out, calling all of my guides in and being like, this is not in my body. This is not in my body. This is not, like, it's just not even an option. The more I did it, I was like, it is not in my body. I am not open for it. It is like not here. And I can tell you there was like zero wobble on that when I now look back. At the time, I was nervous, but not. I was like, I know I'm fine. And so I went for my scans again. I go back to the doctor. I walk in and he's like looking at the scans and he was like pausing, looking confused. And he's like, I don't understand. This doesn't make sense. And I was like, what? He was like, there's literally nothing wrong with your lungs at all. There's nothing there. And I laughed and was like, of course. And also like, fuck. Because like I said, I really thought I was just going to need to take some medication. I never actually realized that I could fucking remove the disease from my body, right? I was like, is that even possible? Because at the time, I didn't even think it was possible. And I was like, that's like a fucking miracle. What magic did just happens? And that was like such a huge pivotal moment for me in this work. And honestly, like probably my driving force of like moving forward and being like, oh my God, if you can do this, what else can you do? right? And so, yeah, so that led me on to like so many other things. And I actually had more health issues with like my kidneys, which I have now healed. And that was very interesting. And it was me just, right, never listening to the external noise and like the doctors being like, you're perfectly fine. That's not even where your kidney is. It's not your kidney. And I was like, nope, nobody it is. So I now have also been told my kidney is completely normal. And he was like, I am shocked that it is. So now I go every year. Actually, now they've moved me to every 3 years, just so that they continue to be like, yeah, everything's good. Because I did only have like 15% maybe function of it after my surgery. So yeah, so that healed. So when I tell you you are your own healer, I mean that with every ounce of my being, right? Like you are the answer to everything. And it really comes down to, right, like your belief. Of course, like I am my greatest healer. So that's something you'll always hear me say. And it's so funny because I always laugh. I'm like, I have no problem like calling in like my perfect health. And yet, right, like, you know what I mean? I would love to like bring in $3 million right now. So
Mhm.
that's something, right? Like, I'm going to be so real and honest. That is
Yeah.
something I'm working on. It's like most, right? If you don't have your health, you have nothing. And most people would be like, oh my God, your health is the hardest. The health is the easiest for me, right? Like, it was full embodiment. And I was like, of course. And it has always been such an inner knowing for me. Um, and that just kind of led me deeper into more like the Akashic Records. And what I noticed, I would always see this like honeycombing. At the time, I didn't know what it was. I now realize it's light codes that are coming in, and me seeing the light codes coming in and realizing like my natural resting hangout is the quantum field. um, and so that kind of took me on my journey where I was originally doing. So for those of you, most people who read the Akashic Records are reading the Earth Akashic Records, right? So, and your Earth records are literally, they can't be changed, right? They are holding every single second of your all of your earthly existence is really the way I like to put it. And so I kept like going into what I now know to be the quantum, but I didn't at the time. I didn't always have words for it. And then I started reading the quantum Akashic records, which are the galactic records, which is what happens. You're more in alignment with your lives between lives, right? You're like where you originally started. Like it was much more. And the quantum records being less story, more like book notes is probably the better way to describe it. In this space, you actually can rewrite. It's really untangling and unwinding and what it's doing in your body is there's no longer a charge. So it has released across all time, space, and dimension, cellular structure, DNA structure. And then it's like you get to, it really does rewrite who you are in the most perfect way. It brings you back into coherence, back into, right, your soul's truth. And it has been so magical for me, right? Like really kind of connecting back to my like galactic soul family and just like even like, and I know you and I have talked about this, right? Like, and I've recently loved and like kind of even diving further into, right? Like going and like when we had did that session with the Galactic Federation
Mhm.
with you and like kind of bringing them together and how so much fun it was because I was like, I love that because I also, right, like go to these high council, like I connect to this high council all the time. And it was so fun for me because it helped me be like, okay, so like this is what they feel like. Right. This is what the high council feels like. And it's interesting because it's a lot of the same, right? Like galactic races. That's what we're going to call them, like beings,
Mhm.
but different messages. And so mine is definitely more like universal law, which is not surprising. And at the time, I had no idea, right? Like, I used to connect to the High Council. I'd be like, I don't even know who they are. I just know that I'm like sitting here. This is who I connect to all the time. And then I was like, oh my gosh, it's about law. And then I really do. It's just this embodiment. I have this deep knowing. And I have really pulled like I've remembered. I've just like keep shedding all of these layers, and it's just such a deeper remembrance and a deeper remembrance and a deeper remembrance. And it literally has been life changing. And light language is my jam. I fucking love it. And I kind of just make it a part of my everyday life now. And yeah, it has been like I'm always here for the deeper remembrance, right? Like every day, my intention every day is like to remember, like to remember all that I am even deeper. Um, because, right, like I really am here to play the game, because you will always hear me say that we are literally playing the game of life. And when we can remember our God selves, right? Like that higher self, that God self, we are fucking unstoppable because there is no limit. The only limit is the limit we're putting on ourselves. We live in an infinite universe. And it's like when we connect and we remember that, our like we get to live from freedom, we get to live from fun. Like stop making everything so fucking heavy and being like everything is like the end of the world. It's like have fun, stop making it so like you know. I always laugh because I'm like, okay, that's just like my ego and what's here for me. And I'm not telling you to feel your shit, because I also do the somatic work. I feel all the feelings, but it's 90 seconds. I let it move. I don't try to make it bad. And I'm just like, all right, we're here for it. And now I'm going to go dance it out, laugh and sing, and come back to my knowing of who the fuck I am. And so that really is my joy in life, is helping people really like, and it's not even helping, it's activating, because my energy is a frequency. So I will a lot of the time say I'm like a frequency channel. And so I absolutely help clear the distortion in your body and your energy field so that you actually remember who the fuck you are, and it just turns on and you remember more and more and more. And I do that inside my frequency temple that I love beyond belief. Where there's so much inside, but what I call my aligned sessions, and they are where we will open up the Akashic Records in the quantum fields. I'll bring like Kundalini Reiki in, light language in, whatever else kind of wants to come in, because like it's just whatever. And then I will always guide everybody on a breathwork journey after like a more of like a meditative one. And as you know, they really are life changing. Like they are the fastest way to clear the noise out of your body, to clear the trauma out of your body, and come home to yourself and remember, so that you really can live life from like your soul's truth and not the external bullshit that goes on in the world.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for all of that. I knew about your emphysema. I did not know the details of it. So that's a beautiful story, and one I can resonate very much with. And people who listen in, they know that over the years, the latter, I'd say 7 years, almost 7 years also. So around the same time period, healing various comorbidities and things that your doctors are like, I don't know how it's working, but keep up the good work. And there's something to it. And I love that you just shared all of that. So thank you so much. And I can attest, her frequency temple, Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. I am not the greatest morning person, but I try to set my alarm to be on each Saturday, because they are so powerful. Jaclyn's meditations, between the music choices, the frequencies, the overall, like you said, bringing it's a way to start out your day on a high note, and it's a way to remind yourself of your power, and that it's not just this physical body. And like you said, it's not just that, um the heaviness, and it can be fun, and it can be light. And you and I have talked before about this, about how waking up in the morning to meditate is something that we both do, that we both kind of, if you go a few days without it, you can start to feel, at least I do, I start to feel in my nervous system, feel in my body. I'm more in my head, not so much in my body or my heart. So
Sure.
meditation, is key. It's not for, I guess, some people are fine without it, but for I guess the work that we do, being so multidimensional, it's a life's art form to be grounded and in your body, and to really release. And we've also worked on and talked about, like, everything that anybody ever wants to release is rooted in that lower vibrational energy. So that victimhood, martyrhood, fear, like you talked about, the fear of death, these are things that I myself have worked on. And this is something that, if you're listening and you're recognizing, like, oh, maybe I do have this root cause, maybe this is something to look into, maybe I should go within. And it's all, especially this new moon, is all about introspection, and the new moon in Scorpio, and looking within. And that really means being in tune with your body mind connection, the somatics, the multidimensionality, the quantum Akashic, Reiki, the energy healing. I remember the day I was hovering over my sacral chakra, and I just felt this, like, pop. And I had POTS, the postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. And I remember my heart rate just always felt like do do do, like very heavy. And I just remember the day, still to this day, sitting in the living room, hovering over my sacral, and just feeling poof. And then ever since then, it's just been like, my heart rate is not pounding and bounding and being all over the place. So it really is magical. And if everybody could take a moment to just tap into that magic. And I don't think it means that, I don't know why I feel called to share this, but it doesn't mean to completely detach nor walk away from your belief system. Whether it's your faith-based belief system, it's a matter of reminding yourself that there's also this aspect. You can have this, you can have your faith-based beliefs, and then you can have your energetic, multidimensional beliefs, if that makes sense. I don't know. Does that make any sense?
So probably, well, for you, it definitely does.
Yeah. Which is why I'm sharing. Yeah, my subconscious programming of,
That's
like,
absolutely yours. Yeah. For me,
yeah,
I truly, like, I am God, like, right? Like, I am
yeah,
God.
yeah,
You are God. God is us.
yeah. And we've talked about this. Jaclyn and
We're
I have
all
talked
one.
about this. Yeah. Like, I have struggled for so many years of feeling like God is external. Although all the work that I do, it's like, okay, God is me. God is within me, within and without, above and below. And all the shit I talk about, all the shit I believe in, all the healing I do. It's like, but I can't forget this one side. So if you are somebody who's like, no way, this is not for me, like, there is something to this. Even if you have that lingering, the subconscious programming, there is something to the healing when you truly believe it. You're living proof. I'm living proof. There's so many. I've had multiple people on the podcast that are living proof. There's people out there with terminal cancers that are still living. There's something to be said about all of it. And don't be afraid to look within. So you have developed a business doing all of this. You've helped multiple clients over the years. What, if you could give any words of wisdom on somebody wanting to segue into this world of either entrepreneurship in this field, or really just delving into their own healing, what would your words of wisdom be?
Don't take life so serious. We're in a matrix, right? You're literally playing the video game. Take the controller and, like, take your power back. It is you. You are the answer to everything. Nothing is external. If, right, like, if you don't like what's happening in your external world, and this is the message for everyone, and I don't care who you are, right? Like Allie was super kind, like Faith, this, that. I'm going to say bullshit, turn in, right? Like if something's fucked up, that's just because you have fucked up beliefs inside. Get with your fucked up beliefs. And I can promise you, your external world will change, because every single one of us, every single person basically has the same shit. Yes, it's a different story, right? And that's like the one thing I definitely learned from the Quantum Akashic. Everybody runs around with their stories, but in the Akashic Records, right? Like martyrdom, like abuse, like we can even just talk about abuse or addiction. It's an energy. Everybody has it, right? Let's stop running around with like shame. Oh, we don't want anybody to see us because God forbid. And it's like, let all of that go. Remember your power, remember your strength, remember your God self, and play the game. Life is a big game. Unplug from the matrix. If you don't like your life, go change it. Stop giving your power away. It is not out there, I promise you. It's in here. And my favorite way is literally through my aligned sessions, because that's what it does. I'm somebody who has to like move. And like I also, right? Like I couldn't just sit still. I can now, but for the longest time I couldn't, and I needed breath work. I needed to thrash about. And I still thrash about when I do breath work, right? Like if you watch me sometimes I'll be like, wow, that girl's having an exorcism. And maybe because sometimes it looks like it.
Oh, no, I do the same. Even this morning, shaking it out, moving, you know, like just getting it all out, doing what you have to do. And you know what's really funny is my son and I, we watched Avatar last night.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's always a good go-to. Just a reminder that this really is just a matrix, just a game.
It is.
Yeah.
And we're here to feel our feelings, right? Like the whole reason we're not here to bypass the human experience at all. We signed up for it, right? Like every single person, and I know so many people are like, oh, I'm so done. I don't ever want to do this. I promise you, you signed up for it. And, right, like you signed up to feel the feelings and so that you could transcend, right? Like that is feel the feelings as the human, and then we're all bringing it back to that one consciousness, right? So it really is like, it's a game. Go have fun. Stop taking it so seriously. And yeah, I'm not saying, like, listen, I have shitty days, and I don't try to just ignore, right, my human side. I bring my human on. I'm like, oh, you're here, and it's okay. But when I'm really with it and I feel it, the energy moves. I also don't attach story to it. I don't need to know the story, because that story is going to keep me in that victimhood, that martyrdom, right? And that I don't need that. It's like, okay, what's here for me? And is that truth? No, that's not truth. It's never truth. Anything that's disempowering is never truth.
Yeah, it's very true. Anything that is putting you down, that's making you feel lower vibe, is more, and that destructive energy is more illusion, more, it's not your story. And that is I feel like that's a way that I healed a lot my physical body. Like, this isn't my story. This isn't my story. Like, this isn't me. I'm overcoming this, and I'm not going to identify with this anymore. The moment I stopped identifying with it, I forget where I heard it from, but if you focus your thought on something for more than 10 seconds, it becomes an emotion. And then that emotion sits in your body. And that's really what it is. It's about, you've said a few times, and I love the way you describe it. It's like you have to just let it move. The energy is meant to move. It's not meant to stay stagnant, because when it stays stagnant, that's what manifests as those physical diseases, physical, mental, and emotional.
Totally. That is where they all come from, right? Like, so all of those people who don't think that they've created the disease, you absolutely have. And I know that, right? And like, and I know that's hard to hear. And you're like, I don't want this. And of course you consciously don't, but it's feeding something in you. It's always
I remember hearing that. I remember learning that when I first went into the world of energy healing, and it was like, okay,
it feels like a slap to the face, right?
Yeah.
Something, you're like, are you fucking what?
Yeah, like what do you mean? Like it's almost like that little kid, that little girl, like wanting like you're in trouble, like you did something wrong. And but once you take hold of that and you remind yourself, like, wait, nope, this is not mine. This is not my story. I no longer identify with this. Let it go, whether you are in the quantum Akashic realm or you're just on the daily.
Right. And it doesn't matter. That's
Yourself.
just it,
Yeah.
right? Like I always like to say that to people, right? Like you are the portal. Your body, like it's just setting an intention and connecting to it,
Yeah.
right? Letting the ego go. You can't do it right. Wrong. There's no right, there's no wrong, there's no good, there's no bad, there just is. And when you realize, okay, this is just is, it's so freeing. It's like, okay, I don't need to identify. This isn't my shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to allow this energy to move. And I have to let this energy move.
Yeah, that's all there is to it. Everything is energy. That's all there is to
Every
it.
single thing is energy.
Yeah, this has been so powerful, this episode. I love the energy that you brought to it, the frequencies that you brought to it. And I feel like anybody who's listening is either going to be like, what the fuck are they talking about? Or they're going to be like, okay, they're going to be on board and they're going to go with it and flow with it. And that is the idea, to not limit yourself, to remember that you are infinite expansion and multidimensional. And thank you so much for being here. Always a pleasure. I'm sure you'll be back on and we'll talk about more. Maybe we'll talk about some galactic shit.
Oh, I would love to come back and talk galactic.
Yeah. So thank you everybody for tuning in and listening. Peace out and God bless.
Bye.